Howdy, you're here with Cooking with Dr. T, and we're going to do cornbread casserole. This is one of my daughter's favorites. I got the recipe from my older sister, who loves to bake and cook just like I do. But this is a simple recipe that has a lot of actually produced food that you already can buy already made, unlike other recipes I'll show with you. But this is something quick, easy, and will taste delicious. So for this cornbread casserole, what we'll be using, we'll use Philadelphia cream cheese, 1 8-ounce pack. I wanted to knock it up a bunch, so I got the fire roasted corn blend, then sweet yellow corn. Make sure it's sweet yellow corn. We're going to use about 1/4 cup of sugar, if that much. This is my salt and pepper blend here. Then, of course, the real butter, about 3 tablespoons of butter. And then you can do your choice. I'm mixing 2 because my family's big, likes it. I make 2 of them. So we're having 1 package of sweet yellow cornbread and then 1 package of Jiffy. Understand, for some of you all, Jiffy is already sweet. For us, it's not sweet enough. So we do add a little more sugar to it. And I offset that by not using 2 boxes of Jiffy. But understand, there are different instructions of how much milk and egg and milk and other ingredients you'll need to use. And yes, hunty, I use whole milk. Nothing skim about me, baby. And then, of course, you got your green onions. And I didn't say scallions. I said green onion. Because you go to the grocery store, it's green onion. All right? And then a bowl for how we're going to mix this all together. But before we get started, we're going to go and mix up our dry ingredients to make the cornbread mix. As you see, one says you need a 1/2 cup of milk and 1 egg. And the other says you need a 1/3 cup of milk. A 1/3 cup of milk. Want to add that. That's our Jiffy there, babe. Okay. We'll add that. Then we're going to add tablespoon sugar. Just mix that on up. And I've already had my eggs sitting out so they can get up to room temperature. So we're going to mix this up. So, as you know, one says 1/3, one says 1/2. So when you add those together, that ends up being 5/6, which is almost a cup. So what we'll do is add almost a cup of milk. Then we're going to add our egg. And now what I usually do is I take that same measuring cup and I break my egg separately from my cornbread mix. And you always want to do that, even though it means another dish that your child going to have to wash. You want to do that so that way you won't get shell inside of your mix. And then you want to take that same spoon and you want to break that egg up. You don't want to take time breaking that egg up into your cornbread, because then you're going to over mix your cornbread. So I'm going to pour it right down in the center. So you see I made a little well for all my wet ingredients. Now I just need to stir it. So that way I don't have to over mix, because for the longest my cornbread always came, I'm like, why is my cornbread so dry? And then I realized these little tips that your grandma don't tell you they do, right? And you learn on yourself. So I usually make my cornbread from scratch, what you are more than welcome to do for this recipe. But since it is in the middle of a week, I don't really feel like doing all that. Especially for you're all about the cream cheese and everything else with this recipe. So you don't have to mix it too much because you don't over mix it. So now we're going to go over to our stove top. For the stove top, we're going to add our butter, 3 tablespoons of that butter there. Real butter. So I've drained my corn, that corn that came out of the can. I drained it. I don't want to add more liquid. I want it to keep the liquid content down as far as possible. Because I don't want my cornbread to be watery. So I'm going to add 1/4 cup of just sweet frozen. And you need to make sure it's frozen. If you use the other kind, which is out of a can, it may get gummy on you. So I like to use frozen for this recipe. You can feel free to use something else if you like, but I always like to do the can because you're going to add to this some cream corn. Now, cream corn, as we all have been told, that's like gruel, right? I never was a cream corn fan. Okay, so while this is going, I'm going to go ahead and reset my oven to it actually cooks at 375. Okay, so to get heated up. Now I'm going to add my green onions because I want to cook those down. Not only does it only give a little color to it when you slice it, but it also gives it a good flavor, right? Without having that overbearing onion taste. We'll cook that down a little bit more. In that butter. So now I'm going to add my cream corn. Remember back in the day when we talked about cream corn that always looked like gruel, that was old people food? I never want to eat a can of cream corn in my life. But when I started making this recipe, I needed to buy it. So I was very surprised of the texture because it still looked like gruel. So now we got that cooking. We're going to cook it down a little bit. Remember, that's why I added frozen corn, so it wouldn't have all that additional moisture, but it has a good flavor, pop to it, and it can withstand all the heat it's going to take, right? So now, I'm going to take this cream cheese. So we're going to add this cream cheese. I'm just going to cut it in chunks. Doesn't have to be pretty. Remember, this is for your family, right? Or that special one you have. And if he's the special one, they're going to love you regardless. That's what it's like. So now I'm going to turn my fire down. Because all I want this to do is melt that cream cheese. Another reason I wanted to start doing these cooking videos is because my daughter is 18, going to be 18 in July, and she'll be starting college soon. So, one thing I want her to go away with is if she can't get to me on the phone, she would always pull one of these videos up and make her a meal that makes her feel like she's at home with me being loved on. And then hopefully, you know, when she's doing that, she may have a roommate or somebody else who missed their family, and they can watch this video together, and then for that moment in time forget that they're away from college, they're away from people that love them, and they're out together thinking about family. And that's what's important. So now we're going to add our seasoning. All it is a little salt and pepper. See, not very much, right? Because this is traditionally supposed to be a sweeter dish. But I need a little salt and pepper just because it is savory too. So now you have that all in there, right? It looks amazing. We're going to taste it. See if it needs anything else. No, it does not. Not at all. Let's turn that fire off. And I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to hit it with a little Creole seasoning. Torrey Satchel Creole seasoning. That's my oven saying it's ready to do its job. So we're gonna go back to the and check the cornbread. So now we're gonna go on to the next step. This is our cornbread casserole cooked with Dr. T. So I want to get a foil pan. The only reason I got a foil pan is because my pan that's this size, is glass, is already in the refrigerator with my pasta dish I made last night for the family. So this is the perfect size pan because I did do 2 cans. You see the cornbread? I want you to get a see how it's set up. Whenever you get cornbread, let it sit for about 5 minutes before you put it in the oven. And then usually what I'll tell you to do, you always want to put this pan in hot, let it get hot and sizzling, and then add your cornbread. It makes a nice crust at the bottom. But since we're not doing cornbread, we're doing canned casserole, we don't really care about that. So now I'm going to take all that good mixture. Yes, hunty. All that good mixture. See? We're going to mix that right on in there. Get all that out that pan. That's money in there, baby. Baby. It's money in there. Your groceries high. So now you're going to mix this in. Don't need to mix it much. Just want to get it in there. Remember that cream cheese filling is already hot. So you don't want, and you had eggs that you added to this cornbread. So you don't want to start cooking the eggs and make scrambled eggs. So you want to get this in the pan as fast as you can. Some people at this point would add a little cheese to it. I'm not doing that this time around because I already had cream cheese, but I'm not putting any more cheddar cheese in it because we are making, for the same meal, my cheesy slap your grandma mac and cheese. So we're going to balance this out. There you go. Now we're going to get in the oven, 350, for about 30 minutes.